I'm going to attempt something for the very first time today. I'm going to give in to an internet trend. So I have dug up a few pictures from my archives to bring out a few pictures that were conveniently and safely hidden under Facebook's privacy settings to bring to you my 10-year challenge. Now, I'm no mind reader, but I can definitely gauge that your immediate reaction is, whoa, that's quite a transformation. And I don't blame you. Right off the bat, I can identify at least 100 differences. But when I look at these pictures, I always wonder, how did such a shy, insecure young girl turn out to become such a powerfully motivating woman, confident in her own skin, despite being plagued by issues of self-esteem? I was 5 years old when I first experienced insecurity. I was told that I was dark and would never belong to the category of pretty girls. Even poems in nursery mentioned that rosy lips, teeth within, curly hair, and very fair were the teacher's pets. So multiple fairness creams and saffron-infused milk glasses later, my skin complexion did not change, and neither did the unsolicited advice from people. As I entered high school, I was faced with a whole new bunch of insecurities. My hips were getting broader, my thighs were getting thicker, and my height stopped increasing. And my peers never missed an opportunity to point out my supposed flaws. I was always made fun of. Even in school gatherings or family gatherings, I would be told things like, had you not been dark, you would have been prettier. My body was always picked apart, analyzed, and left off the people. Even fashion magazines and movies, they played such a huge role in setting up these, super unrealistic standards of beauty, with patli kamar and gore gore gal, if you know what I mean. My self-esteem took another major blow when I entered college. I had gained a few extra kilos due to stress eating, and to top it all off, I was surrounded by beautiful women all around me. This gave me such a huge complex. The taunts continued even in college. So I decided, this is it. I am losing weight. I gathered all the information possible about weight loss, and somehow even convinced my mother to bring home a treadmill. Every evening, I would run on that treadmill like I was being chased by a bull. I followed crash diets. I obsessed over my body weight and my food intake. A couple of months passed, and I had lost 13 kilos in just a few months. A feat that I was proud of, but I felt weak from the inside. But surprise, the taunts continued. Now the same people that once fat-shamed me chose to skinny-shame me. Yes, I had achieved my goal, but was I really happy? I had had enough. I took a step back and I reflected about my choices and my actions. Why was I so pressed on pleasing people who only passed judgmental comments on me? Why was I listening to someone else when I was hindering my own personal growth and development? Was it really worth it? The fact of the matter was that there was nothing wrong with me. It was the people all along. This is when I became possessive about my body, and I took charge of it. It was finally time for healing after all that I had subjected my body to. So I nurtured and nourished myself well. I loved myself unconditionally because I was the only one who could do it. I exercised optimally, fed myself well, but this time, not for the sake of looks, but to just stay fit and happy and healthy. You will be astonished to find what is possible when you show yourself just a little bit of love, even the parts that you find hardest to accept. So I celebrated myself and my existence. I was so proud of myself. I was glowing differently. My emotional and mental health got better. My body was happy and thanking me for standing up for it. I cultivated happy, positive thoughts, and that confidence translated into my academics, my work, and my personal relations with people. But there was a far, far more important outcome from this experience. I stopped looking for validation from anyone who was not the owner of my body. Instead, I started to look for validation from within myself, while I constantly focused on self-betterment. I changed up my mind, my diet, and my lifestyle. And most importantly, I changed the way I spoke to myself. This is when I realized the importance of positive self-talk. It is life-changing, trust me. Now, to take a brief look at where our insecurities stem from rationally, let's take a brief walk through history, right? From the late Middle Ages up until the 1800s, rounded figures were considered fashionable. While at another period, it was the zero figure. Sometime during the 1950s, Marilyn Monroe was the epitome of desirable with her curvy hourglass silhouette. Now fast forward to 2019, and slim thick is the new buzzword, which means a toned upper body but broader lower body. This is how society has always made us feel insecure, by urging us to get into that narrow, preconditioned box of desirable. In a survey, at least 91% of women were unhappy with the way they looked and would resort to dieting to achieve the ideal body shape. The number is alarming when it comes to teenage boys and girls. In another survey, at least 40% women and 20% men admitted that they would consider cosmetic procedures in the future. These numbers are alarming because of everything that we have been fed through mainstream media. With photo editing apps that promise to tweak every single flaw, cosmetic procedures that transfer and freeze fat, and the increasing importance we place on follows, likes, and comments, beauty has just become an illusion. What we as consumers fail to realize is that we are surrounded by industries that benefit from our self-doubt. Because then, it makes it easier for them to, sell their products and services to us, right? So it makes it increasingly difficult to find reasons to love ourselves in a world that twists and turns and manipulates the definition of beauty. Although it has been significant in women, men are not far behind when it comes to experiencing insecurities with their body and their appearance. Men also worry about not having that perfect six-pack abs. They worry about not being manly or muscular or tall enough. But according to gender roles, men refuse to admit it because it might come across as vulnerable. Body image is a huge concern even in the LGBTQ+A community as well, because it is a way of seeking acceptance. Now, self-love doesn't just happen. It requires making a conscious decision to accept and love yourself. During my period of healing, I would look at myself in the mirror every day for a couple of minutes until that annoying feeling of discomfort turned into feeling comfortable with my own skin. I made peace with my cellulite, my stretch marks, my scars, all of it until it no longer disgusted me. In psychology, this is called as the mirror exposure therapy. Now, when it comes to the fashion industry, you know that the fashion industry critiques models based on trends. Body types, face shapes, skin colors, and ethnicities are chosen and discarded season after season depending on what's trendy and what's not. One season, it's trendy to put an Asian model on the ramp. Another season, it's a model of color. Sometimes freckles are beautiful, sometimes they're not. Sometimes big lips, sometimes small. But what we fail to realize is that it is the clothes that we wear that are subject to trends and not the people. Reinforcing a positive body image is not an easy task, believe me, I know. It requires taking a break from activities or people that make you feel insecure. Ask yourself, would you rather feel self-assured and worthy, or would you feel insecure? Most often, we fail to acknowledge our body for all the wonderful things it does for us. It's such a blessing in itself. Wouldn't we rather prefer to be recognized as the people we are and not the people we look like? As I opened up a topic of discussion on my social media, I was particularly keen on sharing Swapna's thoughts on this topic. She has dealt with insecurities her whole life, and she decided to take charge of it. She shares that you tend to compare yourself to your peers on social media. This is why she takes a digital media detox once in a while. By not keeping a tab of what others are doing, she does not let that affect her. It's like a healing process, she says. Now, she finds herself scrolling past anything that is not going to benefit her growth. Societal beauty ideals are passed down through socio-cultural channels, like family, peers, or the media. These ideals are internalized by us, which in turn leads to body dissatisfaction. Now this again leads to eating disorders, anxiety, emotional imbalance, and an overall sense of negative body image. Our self-worth gets wrapped in this process, and we begin to view others through these same internalized ideals. Sometimes we harbor such thoughts subconsciously without even thinking about it. When we say things like, how is she an actress? She looks so average. I would never date a guy who's shorter than me. He's too manly to be gay. Or this celebrity looks horrible without makeup. Now the only way to break this chain is to slow down and reassess. Are flaws really flaws, or are we conditioned to believe that they are? I want all of you to just take a moment and imagine this. Forget everything that you've been told in the past about your appearance. What if we were always told that extra fat is beautiful? What if we were told that dark skin is more attractive and that your scars are ornaments to your beauty? Wouldn't we have a completely different definition of beauty then? These ideals of beauty are something that we are so preconditioned to believe, and we're refusing to let go. Why is fat considered as a negative term? Why is it okay to have thick growth of hair on your scalp, but not on other body parts? When someone calls themselves fat, the immediate response goes something like, yeah, but you have a great personality, or yeah, but you have a great face. The number of times I've been told you carry off your skin color so well, that's nothing I should carry off, it's just natural. The number of times I've been told, you're so charming even though you're dark. Why the ifs and buts and even those? We can't even take a compliment without using these terms. When someone compliments us saying, hey, I like your skin, your response might be something like, yeah, but I like your hair, I don't like mine. So this is what I can tell you. There are no such things as flaws or insecurities. Groundbreaking, right? We are just made to believe that they are. If we were not made to believe that they're flaws in the first place, we wouldn't even address them as flaws, would we? We are so preoccupied with being perfect that we're forgetting to be real. We are chasing a false illusion when we can celebrate our uniqueness. The only question I want to ask all of you is, why would you want to fit in when we can in fact stand out? Thank you.